Okay, let's get right into it. A tragic attack has unfolded in Manchester, and today we're going to break down the official facts coming straight from the Greater Manchester Police. We're here to give you the clearest possible picture of what we know right now.
So what happened? We're talking about a deadly car and stabbing attack that took place at a Manchester synagogue. And this is a big deal. The police have now officially declared this a terrorist incident. That classification really shapes the entire direction of their investigation.
And the human cost? Well, it's just heartbreaking. Greater Manchester Police have confirmed that 2 people were tragically killed right at the scene.
And it doesn't stop there. Beyond those who lost their lives, 3 other people are in the hospital with serious injuries. So right away, you get a sense of the devastating scale of this attack.
Okay, so let's start with the victims. The police have actually released some specific details about the casualties, which gives us a clear understanding of how everything went down.
You know, when you look at the details, you really see just how chaotic this was. It shows the different methods used in the attack. One man was stabbed, another was actually hit by the car, and a third person was injured while the police were intervening to stop the attacker. The police have also made it clear that they're still working on formally identifying the 2 men who died.
And you can really hear their focus in this direct quote from them. It shows they're concentrating on 2 things at once: the very careful process of formal identification and, just as importantly, getting support to the families who are getting the worst news of their lives.
All right, now let's shift gears and talk about the suspect. The investigation has moved incredibly fast to focus on one person who they believe was the attacker, and police have released some pretty significant details about him.
So, the big question, right? Who do police believe is responsible for this?
Okay, so police have named him as 35-year-old Jihad al-Shami. They've told us he's a British citizen of Syrian descent. These are the core facts we have so far, but it's worth noting they're still in the process of a formal identification.
Now this next part is really crucial. The attacker was wearing some kind of suspicious device, which, you can imagine, created a huge amount of fear. But after specialists checked it out, thankfully, it was determined not to be a viable explosive. Basically, it couldn't have actually gone off.
And then there's this detail, and it raises a ton of questions. Police records show that Jihad al-Shami had 0 prior referrals to the PREVENT program. That's a huge piece of the puzzle, but what does that actually mean?
So PREVENT is basically the UK government's main strategy for spotting and helping people who are at risk of being drawn into terrorism. The fact that this suspect wasn't on their radar at all, well, it really suggests one or 2 things. Either he was radicalized incredibly quickly, or he somehow managed to do it completely under the radar, avoiding all those typical warning signs authorities are trained to look for.
Okay, so that brings us to where the investigation stands right now. The focus is now getting wider, moving from the attacker himself to anyone or any network that might have supported him.
And it looks like that wider focus is already paying off. In a pretty big development, police have confirmed that on top of the attacker, 3 other people have been taken into custody.
So who did they arrest? We've got 2 men in their 30s and a woman in her 60s. And this is the key part. They were all arrested on suspicion of the commission, preparation, and instigation of terrorism. That kind of language strongly suggests the police do not think this was just one person acting alone.
And connected to these arrests, police have set up active crime scenes at 2 different addresses. One at White House Avenue in Crumpsall, and another at Langley Crescent in Prestwich. These are the spots where the investigation is now digging in, looking for more evidence.
Whew! Okay, that was a lot of information in a very short amount of time. So let's just quickly run through the key officially confirmed facts from the police so far.
So, here's the bottom line. A terrorist attack in Manchester has left 2 people dead and 3 seriously injured. The main suspect, a 35-year-old British citizen, was completely off the radar of the government's PREVENT program. And maybe most importantly, the investigation is now much bigger, with 3 more suspects in custody.
So you can see the picture is starting to come together, but there are still so many missing pieces. The central question now has to be, what's the connection between the attacker and those 3 people who were arrested? As investigators comb through those crime scenes, what will they find out about the planning, the preparation, and maybe even a wider network behind this whole attack? That's what everyone is waiting to find out.